Kamarul, interesting choice of story this week.
Yes.
News flow is all about Khazanah, Tan Sri Azman. But then it's an oil story. Why?
Well, it is something that affects the federal government's plan in regards to their budgeting, and also in regards to their relationship with the state governments, especially when they are from two different parties, especially in Sarawak. So, and there is also the question of devolution of powers.
Devolution of powers.
Yeah, I mean, like Sarawak and Sabah has been asking for devolution of powers, more responsibility for them, more financial powers as well.
Correct.
So I think this is a very interesting topic to talk about.
Yeah, I know it is, and it's a perennial issue. But the thing is, why now? Did something happen? Were there some emails or some phone calls, or that's to trigger this coverage? It's quite a big piece.
Well, first of all, it is part of Pakatan Harapan's election manifesto, and it is something that even Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said in Parliament that he said that the royalty is going to be 20% on profit, and it was even supported by the Minister of Economic Affairs, Datuk Sri Azmin Ali. So from there, and some of the states, especially Sarawak, they questioned about it, because they feel like it shouldn't be on profit. Instead, it should be on gross production, as it always be.
Right.
Yeah, and in the manifesto, in the book itself, it doesn't say that it's going to be on profit. It's just say that 20%.
So it's quite arbitrary.
Yeah. But then all this while people have been people's understanding is that when you talk about royalty, it should be on gross production. People don't talk about on profit. So why suddenly it becomes on profit instead?
But it's a very sensitive issue, isn't it? Because it's push and pull. You push it, if there's a pull effect on the other side. But then I got the sense that when I read the story, it's devolution of powers, yes, about all revenues, but it's also about independence. And of course Sarawak, even Johor, I think Penang also talking about not needing the federation. So it's the sanctity of the federation as well. Did you get that sense?
Yes, actually we do, especially from Sarawak in this case, right? Yeah, because there have always been, over the past couple of years, there have been, groups calling for separation of Sarawak from the federation.
And under BN, that was a real no-go era, right?
Yeah, and being the opposition, federal opposition back then, Pakatan Harapan has always been championing for more rights for Sarawak, for Sabah, and even for the other states within Malaysia Federation. Yeah, but then now that they are in government, so they have a lot of things that they have to think about. They have to think about the national debt. Have to think about how are they going to sustain the operation of the government without GST revenue right now. And then also oil price has been inching up, but then it's not really at the level of $100 per barrel that we used to have back then. So there's a lot of stake that they have to juggle, they have to balance. So there are of course other promises within the manifesto as well that they have to think about. Yeah.
So in producing the story, Kamarul, what was the angle? I mean, what message were you trying to convey with the story? Well, what are you trying to tell the stakeholder? And in fact, who is the main stakeholder in the story?
I think it's the state government and the federal government. Both of them are.
Okay, so you're talking directly to the state government, or you're talking directly to the federal government? Who are you talking to mostly?
The federal government, actually.
And what message are you trying to send to them?
That they have to solve this problem amicably with the state government. It is something that they have promised in the manifesto, and it is something that they have committed themselves to in regards to devolution of powers, and sharing of revenue. But at the same time, you are cognizant of the problems that this country is facing right now, and there is also the question of is it the right thing to do? Is it the right thing to give a lot more money to the state governments, whether those monies are going to be going to benefit the people in those states? So
there's the kind of like the inference here is the fact that some of these funds might not be allocated wisely. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Because when we look at the financial reports of the states, especially Sarawak,
Deficit,
and
yeah.
even Sabah, right? I mean, like Sarawak has, if I'm not mistaken, the revenue is about 8 billion ringgit a year, and I mean in terms of population, they only have about 2 million people there, compared to Selangor, which has about 6 million people, and then the budget is just about 3+ billion ringgit. So I mean, like, you know,
I noticed your charts. All the affected states all are running deficits.
yeah,
And quite big deficits as well.
And so there is the question of if the federal government give more revenue to the states, will it actually translate into better benefit for the people in those states? You know, I mean, like, all this while they with a lot of the responsibilities of developing the states lie with the federal government, and you know, the state government doesn't really have to do a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
Very complicated, because you don't give them, then they want more devolution, more independence, and then where does the federation lie after that, right?
There is always that question. There's the integrity of the federal,
The federation.
the federation is in question as well.
For more on this story, pick up a copy of The Edge Weekly at all good newsstands.